This is a surprise video. Another video dropping. I know I dropped the video early, but I had to get some thoughts on this Lions game from a Lions fan. So you guys know him. I brought him in last year when the Browns signed what Marvin Deep Ball Hall, Marvin Hall. He didn't end up doing anything for the Browns, but our Lions correspondent on this channel. Let's talk Lions. How are you doing, man?
My man, Quincy, thanks for having me on, dude. I appreciate it.
Definitely. So obviously the Lions season is not going great, and
you can say that.
now the injuries are going in. Now I'm coming into this trying to be a little bit more sympathetic because very recently Browns fans have been in the position that the Lions are. It's not enviable. We don't wish it on anybody, but we also don't want to be the Chargers, the team that gives up the one win to the winless team. So you know what I mean. So
I'm with you.
What we have to do this week, we got to do.
And you know what? We accept that because we love Browns fans. We love the Browns out here in Detroit. Myself personally, I love you guys. I love your squad. And I'm like, this is probably the only week of the year that I'm not going to be rooting for you guys.
Understandable. All right, so let's talk about the Lions. And the big talk about the Lions is the quarterback situation from head to toe, right? You start the offseason off, you trade Matt Stafford, who's been okay in some spurts with LA. He's been having a rough go of it his last few games here in LA. But you trade Matt Stafford for what is essentially picks. And then you they did. I remember when the Browns did this. It was actually they went 1-15. They did this for Brock Osweiler, where it's like,
wow,
yeah, we're trading for Brock Osweiler, but we really wanted that second round pick that you was going to give us to take Brock Osweiler. We ended up getting Nick Chubb out of that pick, right? So there's hope at the end of the time. Almost traded that pick for AJ McCarron. But that's what got Sachi Brown fired. There's a deep dive into history that we can get into.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. But that's kind of a similar situation where it's like, hey, you're taking a flyer on Goff, but you really wanted that first round pick more than anything. And it added up into the salaries when you had to trade players there. The Jared Goff thing, I've heard mixed reviews. I haven't been like a great fan of what I've seen out of him. What have you seen out of Goff? Is there future there, or is this a guy that you just like, hey, maybe like since this year's draft sucked, maybe we can get somebody next year or something like that, right?
It's
he like
tough.
A transitional guy?
Yo, man, the question is so good because it's so there's so much to it, right? That's such a thick question there because you look at Jared Goff and there's the element of a lot of Lions fans that are calling for his head on a pike. Like they're just pissed. They hate him. I'm not really in that camp because when I look at it, who does Goff have to throw to but TJ Hawkinson and Swift? I mean, truly, when you boil it down, our wide receiver core with the broken collarbone from Quincy to it's just young guys that are 1-year deals. So when you look at Goff and he can't throw the ball deep. A, in general, he's not a great deep ball thrower. That's something that we know about him. But B, there's nobody to really place that ball to. There's no true wide receiver one. So when I watch Goff out there, there's an element of me where I'm like, man, I would love to see what he could do if we had a guy like Galladay still, if we had a Marvin Jones still, which we don't. So next year, I want to hold on to him. Looking at his contract, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but we really have him through next year. Money-wise, he will be our QB1 next year unless we're able to trade him out. So when I look at Goff, man, I was excited coming into this year. He has really struggled, but our O-line has had some major injuries, so he doesn't have a lot of time back there. No wide receivers to throw the ball to down deep. And all in all, I think Goff, a lot of it, he's a scapegoat. He's the scapegoat for the Lions right now where fans look at it, they point to him, they say, you're the problem. I don't believe that.
Interestingly enough here, in your last two drafts, you've gotten two players. Well, I think one player, we're seeing what's going to happen with him in Penei Sewell. We're going to speak about him. And then you have somebody who I'm very fond of. I was watching the tape on you guys, and the biggest player that popped out on tape, especially on the offensive side of the ball, was 32. I was like, who is 32 in blue? Like, this guy's a player.
Yeah.
He's quick speed. He reminds me a lot of Devontae Freeman back in 2014. When he came out of Florida State, when he was with Atlanta that first year. And this is kind of a similar system to what Atlanta ran that you guys are running out there. And, I think he has that short area burst. He's very explosive and quick. He has strong legs. And his top speed isn't great, but it's good
Yeah.
enough. So he looks like a player. Is DAndre Swift kind of the main guy in the Lions game plans though, as far as how that offense works, as far as like trying to churn out points?
Yeah, crazy enough, it's Swift or Hawkinson. I mean, that's really it. If we're going in the air, we're going to Hawk. But the opponents know that. That's it. That's the problem there is, okay, we're not throwing it deep. We're going to Hawkinson, or it's going to be a run play out or a pitch, right? To Swift or Jamal Williams. DAndre Swift is an absolute beast, and he is definitely a front runner for you. Look at the yardage he's putting up. You look at him, the TDs. All in all, DAndre Swift is vital. And it's so weird, Quincy. It's so weird because in Detroit, we haven't had a good run game in forever. So to be watching these games, and I'm like, oh my God, we don't rely on Matt Stafford to huck the ball 100 miles an hour anymore. We're relying on Swift to carry us down the field because – man, you look at last week, Jared Goff, I know he suffered an injury, but he threw 25 times all game. That's it. 25 pass attempts. And A, he's injured, but B, has nobody to throw to. So he just kept handing the ball off to Swift. Swift is vital to this squad. I love him.
Can't go wrong getting a running back from the University of Georgia. You just can't go wrong getting the best running back from the University of Georgia. It's going to be a battle of former Georgia running backs here. DAndre Swift, who hopes to take the crown of best Georgia running back currently in NFL from the best, the best healthy running back in my opinion, because Henry's out, Derrick Henry's out. So it's now Nick Chubb at the top of that crown. He's been having a good year if you just look at Nick Chubb's numbers and his averages. But for Browns fans who keep a close eye on him, we're still waiting for Nick Chubb to hit that second gear he usually hits. Like he hasn't really been Nick Chubb yet to us on a consistent basis. But yeah, I mean, that has to be the main focus for the Lions on the defense. Now, I think you guys are a better run defending team than you are a coverage team. But you know, because I think your defensive line is a little bit stronger than people give it credit for.
Yes.
But what do you think the plan is there for the run game against Nick Chubb for a team that has kind of struggled in some of those areas?
Bro, I'm going to be honest with you here. I am really afraid of this because I believe we're ranked when it comes to Lions rush defense. We're 29th in the league. It's not good. It's definitely not good. Now, our D-line, I do like, but it's the moment we hit the linebackers and then we move back to the secondary. That's where a lot of our struggle is. That's where it's been all year. And so I am quite afraid that you talk about that second gear that you're getting ready for from Chubb, that he puts it into high gear this week and steamrolls us. I am quite worried about that.
Now, I think he's coming back off of being on the COVID list. So we'll see how his wind is coming off of that. Guys have traditionally had issues with their wind after coming back. Myles Garrett, somebody who, you know, his wind got taken off. Oh yeah, let's talk about Myles Garrett. Penei Sewell, he's been somebody who you guys have wanted to really take that step as being a good tackle. I thought he had a decent game last week against TJ Watt on that right side.
And he did
improving the last few weeks.
Yeah,
because I know he had a rough start to the year.
Yeah, he had a rough start. So like game one, he comes out there's like he has been a seesaw this season, never going too high and never going too low. He's kind of just been in the middle, just up and down. One game he gets out there and you're like, oh my God, this is the guy. Like when we played LA and watching him, I don't know if you saw him get into the face of Aaron Donald and like the violence that he had. And he played great that game against Donald. So there's these moments where you look, you're like, that's why we drafted you. That's why we picked you, you know, number 7 overall, our first. However, then there's other games where you look and you're like, you're a 20-year-old who opted out last year because of COVID, who is trying to get his feet on the ground again. And you can see the struggles where people are just blowing by him. So yes, it will be interesting because Taylor Decker is questionable. I'm not sure if he still is, but my hope is that Taylor Decker's around. He's on the left tackle side, and then we're able to slide Penei back over to the right tackle.
Is he somebody who plays better when the competition's higher? Like, is he somebody who's going to play up to competition that way? Because it seems like from what you've mentioned, TJ Watt, good game, Aaron Donald. I mean, he's like he is having an experience in his first year because, I mean, for a guy not in the division with these guys, it is unlucky for him in his first year as a tackle to go up against what are inarguably the three best defensive linemen in football,
Yeah.
and the two of them, the two most freakish athletes, and then Myles Garrett. And we have seen Myles Garrett do some just incredible athletic stuff here on tape that just doesn't defies gravity at times.
Absolutely. And yeah, and I do think that competition, what that does is it drives him more to actually have to step up to elevate to that next level. Cause it's like, you have to be God tier to go up against Garrett or Watt or Donald. You have to be your best. You got to be your best. And so like a lot of times it seems like when the competition isn't as vibrant in that capacity, there is I don't want to say slacking, but almost a release where it's like a step back, and then that step back spirals.
Yeah. Well, not hopefully. I mean, I hope the worst for Vinny this week. I hope he stays healthy. You know what I mean?
You're a good man.
Yeah. But coming into this, right? I think one of the interesting things is that you guys do rely on Hockenson a lot for that passing game. What are you gonna do when it comes to protections, though? If Hawk is somebody you might want to leave on a chip or leave in so you can have time to throw because you're playing up against Myles Garrett, and then Jadeveon Clowney's been having a good year on the other side. Another guy, Malik McDowell, I feel like has been very good for this Browns team on the interior. And what is the plan there if they want to throw the ball at all versus Cleveland when it comes to protections?
You know what? It's going to be, I'm really excited for this game in general. I love the Browns, like I was saying earlier. So like there's excitement for me. However, there's a lot of fear for our players in that, because what's going to happen, what's going to transpire. I'm really unsure. I don't understand. I don't know the game plan coming into this one, because like you're saying, first of all, Tim Boyle can throw the ball further, right? We obviously have Boyle in. Goff is not playing. So like, I know that's a big element to this. Will the O-line be able to give Boyle enough time to allow these plays to develop? Will Hockenson be able to, like you said, chip? Will the blocks be there in order to allow the play to develop enough? That's the question. I'm afraid of a real possible injury for Boyle this week. He just got off of IR recently with his hand. So there's some elements to this that are, I do believe we're going to see the ball going to DAndre Swift, a lot of screen routes, a lot of check downs type things like that between Williams and Swift.
Now, from what I've been able to gather from Boyle, is the largest composite of negative rushing yards I have seen in an advanced football career ever.
Really?
I mean, negative 162 in college, and a negative 15, which, to be fair, most of those are kneel downs because he would come in garbage time for the Packers. But the college numbers, I mean, whether you attribute them to sacks or not, this is evidence that this dude is not extremely mobile, at least was not mobile in his college career. So for him in this kind of a game where he's not faster on foot than both of the defensive ends and one of the defensive tackles that would be chasing him, but he does have that strong arm, and presumably that's why you want him in the game. The Browns do have an issue covering those deep balls. What do you do if you're him? If they want you to take these shots,
bro? And you're absolutely right. So like, this is where, first of all, Blau, our other backup, he's better on his feet. He's a better scrambler. He's faster, quicker. He's more agile in general. So part of me, I was really hoping to see Blau get out there. However, with Tim Boyle, he's got an arm. His college days are awful. If you were to look at his college days, you'd be like, how did he make it? How, like you were saying earlier before we got into the show, who scouted him? Who brought him in? But then you look, his 2019 preseason game, he had preseason in general, he had the highest QBR of all quarterbacks. And I know it's preseason. It is what it is. It's light. It's NFL light. However, he had a great 2019 preseason. You look at him this year, 2021, because you skip over COVID year, 2021, not a great preseason. It's a little dicey. I really think right off the bat, I want to see the first play. I want it to be a fly to Khalif Raymond, 35, 40 yards, huck the ball. Just huck it to show Cleveland, like, hey, this isn't Goff. We are willing to throw the ball. but can he get that time to be able to make such a play? That's the question.
It's going to be an interesting question there. From Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward to Nick Chubb, this Browns
Yeah.
team is full of talent that has been underperforming all
Yes.
year. This is why I don't put it past this team to lose this game, because they have not played up to their level of what you would perceive them to be at all
Correct.
year, except for maybe 2 games. So if you're a Lions fan watching this, there is some hope, right? The Browns don't always play well, and that is my
Yeah.
biggest concern coming into this game. For Lions fans, is the game plan, or for the Lions, is the game plan defensively, let's get this game into Baker's hands? Because like you definitely don't want this to come down to Nick Chubb. Is that what you guys
Absolutely.
want to see happen?
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I like Baker. I'm a huge Baker fan. I think Baker's great. I know that there's the injuries. He's kind of had if I'm correct, a laundry list of injuries so far this year that have affected him. However, I think that's the only opportunity we have to win, because if it's on the ground, I really think the Lions get steamrolled. You guys put up 30. But if we can shut Baker down, if we can make sure the ball is in Baker's hands, that's where I think we have the most opportunity to win.
Definitely. So, what for Browns fans, I want to know, who are some guys that we should watch, or that you think are is close to like small gems on the Lions team that you have right now that could surprise us a little bit. We know about Swift, we talked about
Yeah.
Hockenson,
Yeah.
Panay, but who are some guys that you feel like could surprise us that don't get a lot of talk?
Yeah, I love that question. That's a good question, because you obviously have all the homegrown names. You know the big guys, the little guys. Linebacker Jalen Reeves-Maybin. Okay, it's a weird last name. You'll see it, Reeves-Maybin. I think he's number 44 if I'm correct. This guy I love. He has come in the clutch multiple times, and he splits his time with one of our rookies, who you'll also see, Derek Barnes. Love these 2 linebackers. They split the reps. Reeves-Maybin usually comes in the clutch in moments where, I mean, he forces fumbles, punches for it. You'll see him running all over the field. Love him. And then from there, I would say another gem, wide receiver Khalif Raymond, number 11. Watch him. He's super short. We got him from Tennessee. He's usually in the slot, but you'll see him run a lot of flies out there. Phenomenal player. Khalif Raymond has probably stepped up the most. He lays some blocks. He stepped up the most in the wide receiver core than anybody else, than anybody really expected him to. So yeah, I'm going Khalif Raymond and Reeves-Maybin.
Definitely. Well, it was interesting talking to you about this game. Thank you for coming on. Let them know where to find you, man.
Yeah, so for everybody, first of all, Quincy, huge, thank you to you for having me on. Actually, if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have gotten monetized last year. I'm not kidding, dude. Like,
great.
Yeah, man, you helped me out. It's Let's Talk Lions. If you're interested in the Detroit Lions, or you just want Lord of the Rings references, I give them all day. But yeah, again, Let's Talk Lions. It's a great time. All Lions fans, Browns fans are welcome. Love you guys, man.
Definitely, man. Well, thank you for coming on, and everybody else, have a great day.